What's up everyone, Pooya here. Today we're gonna talk about how to tank Cinderbrew. For talents, you can check my talents video by clicking the card on the top right of your screen or the link in the description below. In that video I explained all my talents for every dungeon in detail, so because of that I won't go into it in depth in this video. Now let's get into the route. So for the route, we're gonna start the first pull by using Bloodlust on it, and it's a pretty big pull. However, the Bloodlust makes it super easy. We're gonna be tagging the muscle with Avenger Shield, and then go into this pack right here and use your Eye of Tear. So you get aggro instantly and be able to use have the defensive at the beginning of the pull. And then you're gonna throw your Divine Toll to this pull, while body pulling the muscle pull right here. So it's gonna have 2 muscles and 3 or 4 casters. This attendance is gonna be patrolling at the beginning of the dungeon when you started. It's gonna be around here. And toward the end of the pull, she will come back and it will join the pull when the pull is about to die. This one is just like a chain pull. Use defensive on this pull because it hurts a lot. For the tank, there's a lot of melees that is going on to you, and the muscles hurt a lot. So make sure to use your Ardent into Guardian, into Bubble, basically rotate your defensive around and ask for external if you need it. After this pull dies and you have the attendance alive because she joins the pull late, you're gonna be tagging this group here with your Avenger Shield, and then also tag the chef with your taunt or judgment or anything. And that pull basically starts and it's very easy. Now, the Chewy will basically have an ability where it will buff the allies around him. So you want to use your defensive still. I only use Ardent here and IFTR just to survive, and the group doesn't really get that much of a damage beside that knockback that he does. So that's pretty much it for this pull. You don't have to worry about it too much. However, he drops the buff that it increases the damage of the allies and the health of them, I think, when he goes below 20%. So when he does the high stake ability, you have to dance around when he throws the stake. If you get hit by it, you will be getting stunned. And then after the dance, he does the knockback. So when he goes around 30% is when usually he does the dance in higher keys. And then after that, he does a knockback. So once he does that knockback, I chain it into pull 3. So he goes, by the time the pull starts, he goes under 20% and he doesn't buff the allies anymore. And he dies eventually. Pull 3 is same as pull 1. Everyone should have their cities ready by the time the pull 3 starts. So basically, you all just blast. It's a little easier because there's only 1 muscle. However, it still hurts on a tank. So make sure to rotate your defensive again. Ardent, Guardian, Bubble. And then after that, you chain it into boss if you make sure the muscle die, because the ability of that he does volatile keg hurts the group a lot, and it's a big healer check. So make sure to let that muscle guy die first, and then if you want, you can chain it into the boss. And by the time you chain it into the boss, your rotation of defensive should be coming back online, where you will have Ardent up again. Of course, you're not going to have Guardian, however, you will have Ardent, and then by the time your Ardent runs out, you can have Bubble or ask for external. The boss is very easy. After the boss, we go into pull 5. Now, the reason why we go into pull 5 and 6, and then we go all the way back here, is because as a paladin, you cannot skip this double hop goblin unless you have, like, say, an evoker that can stand here and then sleepwalk the middle scientist, so the pull goes like that, and then you guys can skip this way. That's the only way that you can really skip it. And if you have an evoker that can do this, instead of taking this, you will be taking up here, and at the beginning you also want to on pull 3 take this as well. So that will be the difference if you can skip it. However, if you cannot, you will basically do the pull. And the reason why we go and after the boss we go pull 5 and 6 is because we are going to have Bloodlust for pull 8. We want to Bloodlust pull 8 because it's a very inefficient pull. The reason why a lot of people skip it is because percent-wise, it's very inefficient. It takes a long time. So we want to kill it with Bloodlust. So we will be pulling the Hobgoblins with these casters here, and then chain it into the casters down here. You want to go and tag them and then pull them back into the room after these casters die. But yeah, with Bloodlust, this pull is very easy and you will just blast it. After that, you go to pull 9. It's another big pull. However, again, your team should have their CDs back online. And because of that, this pull dies very easily. Then you will gonna do the Hobgoblin here. Make sure to wait for it to patrol up so you don't ninja the casters. And then you're gonna tag all the casters here and kill the Hobgoblin. By the time you kill the Hobgoblin, the boss RP should be finished and the boss spawns. And so when the boss spawns, you're going to tag the casters and then do it with the boss. If you feel like your group is really good and you don't really need Bloodlust, you can save it and just do this pull without Bloodlust and then Bloodlust boss plus these casters. That's also totally fine. But in the PUG scenario, I don't really recommend it. After that, we go all the way back. Everyone should have their CDs and we go for pull 12, which is another big pull. You want to start this pull by using your Ardent. You want to tag the Wrangler with your Avenger Shield, and then just go in and then tag all of these. If these two are patrolling up here, just wait for them to come down. You don't want to tag them instantly so you don't ninja this pack here. This pull at the beginning of it is very hard, especially on the group and the tank. So make sure to, again, rotate your defensive. And if the bees are casting their final sting, which is a tank buster, and they cast it when they go below 20%, it's a very hard-hitting ability. So you want to either use your spell ward to immune the damage of it or bubble. In PUC scenario, people won't really interrupt the cast of them to kill them because it requires a hard CC. So because of that, having that spell ward or bubble for that cast when it's about to hit you is very, very useful. If you have Bloodlust, by the time that you're doing the pull 12, definitely use Bloodlust for it. However, if you don't, you're gonna Bloodlust pull 13 and chain it into the boss. So the way that I like to do pull 13 is basically at the beginning of the pull, you use your IFT and Ardent and you rotate your defensive. When the pull goes to 30%-ish is when you chain it into the boss. So all the bees are dead and the caster is about to die, and then the venture honey is about to die, which does a big AoE, because we don't want this AoE to overlap with boss AoE, which is a fluttering wing that it pushes you back and does an AoE to everyone. If that overlaps, your group basically dies. So we want to make sure that we chain it in a way that the venture just use their AoE. So after they use the AoE, you can chain it into the boss, and of course they want to be low HP because by the time they cast their next AoE, you want to kill them. And then you chain it into the boss, you kill this pull here, and after this pull finishes, you chain these bees into the boss as well. And then you kill the boss, and you basically hug the right wall and go without pulling these bees here. Then you take the bees and go up and you kill the Yesman, and then you kill the boss. Now, there is a trick for Yesman that you can see it on the video here. When one of the Yesman goes low HP, you want your priest to mind control that low HP Yesman. And that way that Yesman doesn't get the buff that they do when they die, and their HP goes all the way up to 100%, and also they get an attack damage buff, so they don't get that buff by that single mind-controlled Yesman. And that way you basically kill all these three one by one. You want to mark one of them with a skull or something so everyone focuses that Yesman, because if you're doing AoE damage and two of them are about to die, when one of them dies, all of them are going to go back to full HP again. And after these three die, the priest will release the mind control and you will kill the mind control, which is around 20%. It's going to take you like 5 seconds to kill it. So it's a huge time save, and then you kill the boss easy peasy. But yeah, that's it pretty much for route. Okay, now let's get into the dungeon run, where I explain what my thought process was bit by bit and what to do when. So we're gonna start the pull, as I said, on the route by tagging the muscle. And remember to use your Bastion of Light before the timer and the run starts, so you can have that extra holy power generator after the dungeon starts in the beginning. So we tag this with Avenger Shield or Judgment like I do here. That's also totally fine. And then I body pull this here and tag that pull with either Divine Toll or Judgment or Avenger Shield. I decided to Divine Toll it here, and your Divine Toll also bounces to this pull, and basically the pull starts. At the beginning, you're going to pop Wings, and you're also going to use your IF tier here, like here. That should be always your opening. And then after your IF tier expires, here I track it here, which says 2 seconds left on it. I use Ardent. So here it goes. And then after the Ardent, my Ardent is running right now. After that ends, I should use Guardian. And there it goes. And then you can, after your Guardian runs out, you can either ask for either a Paint Sub or use your Bubble. I think in this run, I use External and I ask my priest to Paint Sub me. Yeah, there it is. I asked them to Paint Sub and they Paint Sub me and the pull continues. After the Paint Sub runs out, you want to use your Bubble. Unless the pull is literally about to die. However, if you're doing higher keys like 16, 17s, the pull can still be alive. Depends on your DPS. But as you can see here, our DPS is doing pretty good and the pull just vanishes. Right here, I see that there's only one muscle alive. This gets ninja pull. It's sort of the point they don't do nothing. After the AoE runs out here, basically the dot, I'm gonna go and tag this pull here. It's a very easy pull. It's just to make the pull 3 easier on yourself as tank. So we chain those guys in, we kill the muscle. After the muscle dies, we do pull chef inside. So we just wait until muscle dies here. Then basically we just rotate our defensive and kill the chef. I used Ardent earlier. And if you really need it, you can use your bubble. You still have it, so use it. Why not? If you feel like you're about to die. Patrons will put a dot on you, which is a bleed. If you're a dwarf and you see that you have multiple dots, you can dwarf it, or you can bubble it to remove the dot, or you can ask for external. This dot doesn't really do much unless you have like 3-4 stacks of it. Continue this pull and wait for the chef to go down to 20% HP. So here he does the high stake, everyone dances around, and now he's doing the knockback, which is around 30%, right? So once he does the knockback, I'm going into chain, because by the time I chain it, you can see it's 26%. By the time this pull starts, that chef is going to go down to 20% and even lower. So it doesn't buff the allies anymore. If the muscle casts the AoE while chef is buffing, your group is probably going to wipe. So you want to be very careful about that. So we start the pull by tagging the ones that are sitting here with Avenger Shield. You can tag them with Divine Toll as well. That's if you prefer it that way. I tag it with Avenger Shield, and then I should use my IF tier into Divine Toll. There we go. So IF tier, Wings, Divine Toll, and then start blasting. I also use my Ardent here. This pull hurts a lot at the beginning. You want to also tag this attendance here as well, which I believe one of my allies do. And then after my Ardent dies, I should use my Guardian into my Bubble. Which is again my rotation, but I asked for a Paint Sub instead of using Guardian, which is also totally fine. However, I would really like to use Guardian here. Better to just put it on cooldown, and I can refresh the cooldown of it much quicker. So that was a mistake by me to ask for a Paint Sub instead of using Guardian, but not the end of the world. The pull continues. So yeah, this attendant also gets chained in, and we just start blasting. After my Paint Sub ran out, I use my Guardian. And after my Guardian runs out, I should be using Bubble here. There it is. And we just kill the pull. So like I said in the route, you want to make sure the muscle dies before you chain it into the boss. And also make sure that your healer has mana before you chain it into the boss. Because until this point, you're always doing chain. So your healer doesn't really have that much room to drink mana. So be very careful of your healer mana. You don't want to pull the boss when your healer doesn't have a mana. So I here asked for my healer if he has mana. He said it's all good, go, and we chain it into the boss. This boss is very easy as a tank. You don't really ever want to use defensive. The only thing that I use is IF tier, and that's mainly because of the damage and not the defensive aspect of it. However, at the beginning, because there is way more mobs, with the boss, you want to maybe use Ardent, but beside that, you don't really need anything else. So I might use Ardent here, and I don't think I even do that. I just IF tier and continue the boss. Now, as a tank here, your job is 2 things on this boss. 1, pay attention to who gets this debuff on your allies, because this debuff that the boss throws on people, he throws it on 2 people and it hurts quite a lot. And especially if you have a priest on your group, priest is not really good on spot healing. They're mainly good on healing as a group, not an individual. So it's very hard on a priest to heal this since it's a very high heal check. So once you see that your allies are dropping and they don't have a defensive, make sure to either sack them or spell ward them. I don't really like to use my spell ward here unless it's very, very necessary, because I need it for the pull that I do next because of the final sting that the beast cast on you, so I immune it with my spell ward. If I use a spell ward here, I won't have it for that pull. And the second thing that you want to pay attention to is the knockback that the boss does and the way that you move the boss in the room. So when the boss goes into the phase, so let's go to the phase, you see that you're going to have to pick up the drinks. One will be here, and then there will be 3 on the other side. You don't want these puddles to be on the direction to these mobs. You want it to be in the middle, so that way people don't have to run into them to go deliver the drink. So because of that, we're going to attack the boss mainly around the middle, and every time that he does a knockback, or every time he throws these cinders on people, it will drop a puddle under them, as you can see. So, and then he does a knock here, so pay attention. Knockback comes in, and what does happen? It drops puddles. So make sure that the puddles don't go like around here or around here where people have to run to deliver the drinks. And that's pretty much it. The boss gets phased, and then we go deliver the drink. As a tank, what I like to do, I pick up the 2 on the right. So I pick up this one to deliver it to this guy, and then pick up the second one and go deliver it to the guy that is solo here. And then after all the drinks are delivered, boss comes back and spawns these puddles here. Which if you go into it, you get stunned and you get damage for 3 to 5 seconds. If you go into it as a tank, you can just bubble it and immune it, and then you basically get out of the stun immediately. I think it happens to me in this run somewhere here. Here I use the bubble. So as you can see, the white is coming. I don't pay attention to it. I get stunned by it, so I just use bubble to get out of it instantly. But if your allies get into it and you see that they're taking damage by it, you want to immediately spell ward them so they don't die. You cannot immune their stun. However, they don't get any damage while they are inside that spinning around. So be very careful of that. But yeah, basically the way that I tank this boss is we go like this, and then we go around until the boss gets phased. You're going to have 2 phases, and the 3rd phase is when the boss dies. And I like to use my CD, which is wings for damage, is I use it at the beginning when we pull him, and then I use it on the 2nd phase. The 3rd phase, I don't use my wings, even though I will have it. So here, as you can see, I don't use my wings for the whole 3rd phase. The reason why is because I like to have it for the pull afterwards, which is a very, very big pull. So if you want, you can use your wings if you have enough haste, and if the DPS of your group is low. You can continuously use your Shield of the Righteous and reduce the cooldown of your wings, so by the time you go to that pull, you're going to have it back. However, because of the fact that my group DPS is very high, I decided not to use it, so I can have it, because I wasn't comfortable to not have wings on that pull. So yeah, the boss dies, and then we go for this pull. Pull at the beginning is going to hurt you quite a lot when you're gathering, so we're going to tag the Wrangler with Avenger Shield, and then go in. And when I come around here, I use my Divine Tool and then use Eye of Tears, so I can go and tag these guys without worrying about my health dropping quite a lot. Now, another thing that you want to pay attention to is to have the Shield of the Righteous buff. So as you can see here, before I go in, I'm generating Holy Power. And once I tag the Wrangler with my shield, I instantly cast Avenger Shield. If you get hit with a melee or any physical damage without having Shield of the Righteous buff, you're going to die. So you have to be very careful before you're doing this pull. If you don't have 3 Holy Power, generate it before going in. I also pot Wings and Divine Toll and just spam Shield of the Righteous, Eye of Tear here, and then Hammers for the self-heal, and tag these billets in as well, and the pull starts. Now that Wrangler, if you have a DK, is going to get gripped into the pull. If you don't have a DK, you want to move the pull back to the Wrangler, because the Wrangler is just going to stand outside and keep casting the sniper shot that he does. So be very careful and of that. I use Ardent as my first defensive, and then I should use Guardian or ask for a pain sub. And the pull just goes like a first pull, but without the bloodlust. Your defensive rotation should be exactly like that. And then the main thing that you want to pay attention to is this final sting cast that they do. So you can see it on my WeakAura that here they start doing it, and also see it on their cast bar as well. The final sting, once they start to do it, you have to use something to immune it, a very hard defensive. Or your allies can cancel the cast and kill the group. However, I told them that there's no need to cancel it. I have a spell ward, so all of these go through and the bees die. However, my DK decided to cancel it. I typed again to just let it go, and then they cast it into me, boom, and they die after the final sting. So yeah, that immune is very, very good, so make sure to have it here. And then after this pull dies, we go and tag another pull in, just like I showed in the route. It's exactly like the pull that we just did. However, it's a little easier on you as a tank because of the fact that there is no big B for you to have to immune. There's two of them, and two of them is easily tankable with only a defensive like a pain sub or Ardent going through. But yeah, we do this pull and we go into the next one. So this pull is at the beginning of it doesn't really hit that much. However, when all of them get grouped and they start meleeing you all at once is when you want to use your Ardent. So we tag these guys in with the Avenger Shield, we tag these guys in with the Judgment and into the Shield of the Righteous, and then tag the Hobgoblin with a Divine Toll, depends on where his patrol is. So Divine Toll, IF tier I should do. Now, you can see that I'm not really using my Ardent. The only time that I use my Ardent is that when I see I'm taking too much damage. However, when I don't see myself getting damaged, there is no point for me to use Ardent here. I can just continuously tank and use Word of Glory for that self-heal, or ask for external, if anything. But here, as you can see, I see that they do their cast, I drop a little low, and because of that, I use my Ardent just to be safe. Then we're gonna be skipping this pull right here with a Mind Sooth. If there is no Mind Sooth, if everyone hugs the right wall and jump on the barrel and go like that, you can also skip it. We go and tag these guys in with Avenger Shield and also use your Shield of the Righteous buff. Because of the fact that I had 2 Holy Power here, I decided to tag this pull with a Judgment so I can instantly use Shield of the Righteous after that. And then tag this group in with their Divine Toll or Avenger Shield. That's all fine. I decided to use my Divine Toll. Then I marked one of the Hobgoblins with a skull, so everyone focused that one down, so it dies immediately. This pull hurts a lot, and it's a big healer check. So you want to make sure that one of them dies as quick as possible. So we Bloodlust and start blasting. Now, again, just like the last pull, I only use my Ardent if I see myself getting too much damage. Our healer uses Dome, so I go into it. It makes me take 20% damage reduction. And after that, I should use Ardent. There it is. Once the dome goes down, I see myself taking a lot of damage, so I use Ardent. And if it's really needed, I also use Guardian or ask for external like I did here, Pain Sub. And as you can see, the casters die. I wait for this charge to go through, and then I should go, and there's another charge, I should go and tag the casters right there, which I do here. So I go in, tag them, and come back and line of sight. So you want to line of sight so they don't just wait there and keep casting on you. They start walking toward you. And then we kill this Hobgoblin and we kill this caster. Imagine that this pull is like a filler pull. So your group gets their CDs back. Now, of course, we're playing with a Fire Mage. Fire Mage is going to have CDs almost all the time if they're playing good. You want to also rotate defensive on this pull. It kind of hurts as a tank. So I just use Ardent or ask for external or use Bubble. That's pretty much it. And after Hobgoblin dies, we go in and we chain it with another caster. Now, I would chain it personally with this Hobgoblin. And when this pull dies, I chain it into the big pull. However, because of the fact that the patrol of the Hobgoblin was not the way that I wanted, it was all the way back, I decided to just pull the casters in. And yeah, we just killed this pull. We now pull the Hobgoblin after the casters died, and people will start to use their CDs. Now, I did do one mistake here, and that was that I didn't pull anything extra. Because of the fact that my group had all their cities ready, I should have pulled bigger, but I didn't do that. So that's a mistake from me that made us a little slow compared to what you would be. So if you see that all of your group has their cities ready, make sure to do a bigger pull. Either go and tag the casters at the end of the room or tag all of the casters here. Both of them are totally fine. And yeah, we just do this pull, simple as that, and then we tag this hobgoblin in and also pull everything here. I don't think, okay, I didn't pull the hobgoblin because we already had one alive still, which is also totally fine. After that, we tag the casters at the end with another hobgoblin. I should also tag this guy in. Let's see when I do. There it is. And basically, people will use their cities once they have it. I use Eye of Tyr and Ardent and Wings and just start blasting. In this room, you basically want to use your Wings on cooldown. And another thing here that I did, which is fine, but it's different from the route, is tagging this group into this group. Because of the fact that I saw my DK is about to get his cities back online, so I decided to just pull this group in. Otherwise, if your group doesn't have a city, avoid pulling these casters in and just pull them with the boss instead. But yeah, we do this pull, just defensive rotation, Ardent Guardian, and Bubble if you really need it, or ask for a Pain Saw. And after the hobgoblin dies, we go for the boss. Boss, again, is very easy for the tank. You want to pay attention to 2 or 3 things. One is the same as the first boss, where the boss will throw the dot on people. So here, burning fermentation, he throws it on people, again, on 2 people. So pay attention to immediately sack someone if they need it. Now, healers, this dot is dispellable. So healer can dispel it. As you can see here, it immediately goes away because our healer dispels it, right? So you can dispel this dot, which makes it easier compared to the first boss. However, if you see that your healer doesn't have mass dispel, and only one player gets dispelled, and that player that now has the debuff doesn't have a defensive, you want to use your sack or spell ward for them. Second thing is when the boss does the dance, so you of course avoid the puddles and the swirlies that he spawns, and then you see these orange circles. You want to pay attention to where they are because the orange circle is where they spawn. He spawns the ads, and if the ads touch the boss does gain a big shield and basically does a big AOE damage, and it's pretty much a wipe in higher keys if they touch the boss. So you can see that they spawn on the big red/orange circles, and you want to pay attention to where you can move the bus after that. So here I see that they are like this. If I move the bus like this ad is going to touch the bus. So my only opening is moving the bus this way. And because of the fact that I'm running the talent that reduces the cooldown of my Hodge, every time that you have the dance, your Hodge will be back online. So if you feel like the ad that you're moving is too close to the boss, you can just stun it with your Hodge. I don't see it needed here. I just move back and kite the boss around. Now you also want to drop your concentration, not only because of the defensive factor, but also because of the fact that when you run the talent where it will slow the mobs, is pretty useful. As you can see, these guys, if they run into my concentration, they basically get slowed and makes it easier for the group to kill them all. So yeah, you basically kite the boss around and away from the ads that he spawns. So you can see that when they die, they spawn a puddle, and in the middle of the puddle, they also are there. Now, after they die, they respawn after a few seconds. So here you can see that the boss will do the dance, and just pay attention to that puddle right there. So right here, you can see that when the puddle ends, that ad spawns again. There it is. So on the right side of your screen, if you pay attention, the mob basically is alive again, right there, and it respawns. And after it dies a second time, it doesn't drop a puddle anymore, and it doesn't respawn anymore. However, it will respawn once, so you want to pay attention to that. Because of that, you want to also move the boss away from the puddles that the ads spawn. And that's pretty much it for this boss. You just move the boss around and kite it around the room until it dies, as you can see here. After this, we will be going into another big pull. So because of the fact that the timer was fine on this run, I decided to not do the big pull that I showed in the route. You can split the pull. So like I do here, we decide to split it because the timer is fine and we don't really have blood loss. So I just pull all of the bees and the caster there into the Wrangler, enter this room, so bees spawn in, and once they spawn, they start to chase you, and go back. That's it. And you basically use Eye of Tear and Ardent, and this pull is very, very easy, and just pay attention to when the bees cast their final sting, is when you want to use their big defensive like Bubble or Guardian or Spellboard if you feel like you need it. But yeah, you kill this pull and you go into the next one, which is another easy pull, double Wrangler, one caster. You basically want to pay attention to the caster's cast. If the cast goes through, it's a big AoE damage, and there's a high chance that your group wipes because of that. After this pull dies, we're gonna skip and go like this. So you want to jump down here and tag the Wrangler with your Judgment or Avenger Shield. Because I don't have Avenger Shield, I tag him with the Judgment here. And then you want to go in and use your Divine Toll, like that. You also want to tag these bees here, which I will be doing a little later on, like that. We use Bloodlust and we blast this pull out of the way. As you can see here, the mob just did the AoE, and it is low enough for me to safely go and tag the bosses in. Now, also pay attention that you want to make sure you also have a defensive to survive. Otherwise, it's pointless for you to chain it into the boss just for you to die and your group wipe. So I see that I have my Guardian, I have my Bubble. If I really need it, I can use those defensives and I can survive the boss damage. So because of that, I just go in and chain the boss in. So yeah, this boss, you're gonna have pay attention to this circle that he does. Make sure no ally is around you when you're dropping it, because it one-shots your allies. However, it does barely any damage to the tank. As you can see here, it basically makes me go down to 40% HP. You don't really need to use a defensive for it. However, the time that you will use defensive for it is when it overlaps with this AoE. So the boss is about to do the AoE, and he also puts the tank buster on me as well. So because of that, I use my Ardent here. So that way you don't just suddenly die to everything. So that's the only thing that you want to pay attention to, the AoE overlapping with the tank buster. So use your defensives at that time, or if you see that you're getting low on HP. Now, the second thing that you want to pay attention to is this dot that the bees put on people. If you see someone has 2 dot, make sure to sack them. So here you see that my DK has 2 dot. I don't really see a need for sacking because it's a DK, he can survive it anyways. But if that was, for example, on my Boomy without a defensive, he would pretty much die. So you want to really pay attention to that and just use your sack if you see that they're needed. But yeah, that's it for this boss. You just drop the puddles around the room. You don't want it to be, you don't want to drop it in the middle. And once you drop the puddle, you want to move the boss away from the puddle. Because if these bees that the boss spawn are into the puddle, they get a buff, and you don't want that. So we move them out of the puddles, and we kill the boss, easy peasy. Then we're gonna go for the skip. So you, right here, you wanna go and jump on these barrels here, hug the right wall, and easily skip it. And then this Yesman, as I said, we tag one of them with Skull. And once the Skull goes low HP, you see that my priest will mind control it. And then we tag the other one that is low HP with a Skull, which is here, and we kill that one. And then tag another one with Skull, and we kill that one, just like that. After all of these die, so here, you can see that this one will die as well. Priest will release the mind control. One thing that is very useful as a tank is to get the mind control WeakAura, that you track the timer of the mind control. I will also put the link of it in either comments or description below, that you track how long is left for your priest mind control to run out. When you see that it's about to run out, you will hear taunt soon. You want to taunt that mob immediately, so it doesn't go and just kill your priest. So here we kill it, and then our priest releases. I instantly taunt it. However, the taunt will break. As you can see here, 1 second left on it. It will break. You need to taunt it twice for it to fully get aggro onto you. And our Boomy also use Vortex, and everything is fine, but our priest for some reason decides to run in. So he runs in and then basically melees our priest instead of our priest being in the far away. So our priest just dies here, but it's not the end of the world. We just revive. That's it for the Yesman. After that, we go into the boss. This boss, the main job that you have as a tank is to break these big barrels with the boss frontal. I always like to tell my team to let me as a tank be the only one who breaks any barrel, because otherwise the room becomes very, very messy. So what I do here, I always go bring the boss down here and break these two with the frontal that he does. I always do this first, and you can, for example, have it here and do these two first, or you can have it here and do these two first. It's your personal preference, it doesn't really matter. But the first one, I always break two, and then single, and another single. So as you can see here, I aim it, and then it breaks the two. And after these break, they will release these swirlies. These swirlies always release in the plus direction, up, down, left, right. So if you position yourself in around the east north of the barrel, or east west, sorry, west north of the barrel, northwest, or southwest, that way you don't get hit with the swirlies. And then after that, we basically position the boss here. We break this big barrel here, and after you break the big barrels, it will put a dot on the group, and that will do a damage, which is a tank healer check. And you don't really need to use defensive for it, but your group will need basically to use defensive if really needed. And every time each person breaks a barrel, they also get a debuff, which hurts a lot. So as you can see here, even though I told my group to don't break a barrel, they decided to break anyways, and after they break, they will get this debuff, which also damages them. So it's pretty bad to get that, and that's another reason why tank should be the only one who breaks. So yeah, we break all of these, and then dodge the swirlies. I use my Ardent here because I was scared that I was about to die to the swirly because of this. So I just horsed up, ran away, and used an Ardent just to be safe. And then after this, we're gonna break this. But again, my allies decided to randomly break this. The reason why I don't like my allies breaking is because this boss frontal is also a knockback. So there is a high chance that you get knocked into a swirly and just die, which makes everything so messy. So please do your tanks a favor. If your tanks say, let me be the only one who breaks, don't break any barrel. And just let the tank be the only one who breaks. And then we go into the phase where boss does a basically useless AoE, in my opinion. We were kind of scared for some reason because it was the first time everyone was doing a 616. I guess people were not used to the AoE damage, and everyone drops the defensive priest uses Dome, and we also use AMZ. We also use the shield barrier of mage, so we overlapped quite a lot. You don't want to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much it, and the boss continues. That's a fight. And when the boss goes low HP, you just want to kill the boss without breaking any barrel. So as you can see here, I see that the boss is pretty low, and by the time he goes on to the next phase, he's gonna die anyways. So we just go into the wall and aim the frontal to the wall, and we just kill the boss. Pretty easy. And we get bloodlust at the end of it. We just use the bloodlust as well, and we kill it, and that's pretty much it for Cinderbrew. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask in the comments below. Until the next guide, we are out.